Good evening, folks. Happy Wednesday. How's everybody doing on this Wednesday night? How's everybody's week going? Shout out to the folks in the chat. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. Hopefully, you all been doing well. Let me know how you all are doing. As you know, we're in the off season, and the GM meetings are supposed to be ending today. And I know we were all waiting for Brian Cashman to speak to the media at some point. I felt like he was going to speak to the media. He wasn't at the GM meetings himself. He said that something came up. It was non-baseball related. We don't know what it was, right? So he didn't say, why he couldn't make it to the meetings. But he did speak to the media today. He gave some information without giving too much information, if that makes sense. He was addressed a lot of questions, so I was curious to see what he wanted to say. I definitely took some notes down, and I'll kind of go through each section as I go along and kind of try to dissect what he said. I'll just kind of give my own speculations and just, go off of what I think he's trying to say. Some things are obvious, some things not so much, right? And I'll give my own opinions on this. But first and foremost, once again, shout out to the folks in the chat. Make sure you all hit the like button, hit that subscribe if you're watching for the first time. Let's continue growing this channel. Share this channel out with everybody you know. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's continue growing this channel. Let's help build up the strike zone. It does mean the world to me. But let me say what's up to the chat real quick. Let me say what's up to everybody in the chat. First person in the building, Jonathan. What is going on? How are you, Jonathan? Healing in men's hearts. Good to see you. How are you doing today? John the Beagle Dad, what's up? Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights, what is going on? Jockey Boy, what is up? Stephen B, what is up? Jacob Petruzzi, what is up? Aiden's in the building. Stephen B is in the building. Dave is in the building. Dev Finch, what's up, man? Shout out to Dev Finch for being a member of the Strike Zone for 18 months. Dev, you are the man, sir. Thank you so much. Who else we got in the building? We got Lou in the building. What is up? How's it going? What's up? So, yeah. So Cashman, as expected, talked to the media. Again, I was curious to see what he had to say. Real quick, what's up to Ricardo? What's up to Katie? What's up? Thanks for popping in. Ace is in the building. Shout out to my boy Ace. What up, Ace? Ace is doing his thing there with the movie reviews this off season. So I see you, Ace. What's up, man? How's it going? What's up? How's everybody feeling? Smack that like button, guys and gals. Please smack that like button. So, look, Cashman wasn't going to give out a lot of information to the fans, right? We weren't gonna get any sort of information or plans, and as far as what the Yankees are going to do. Now, there's one thing that they are going to do. And it's pretty obvious. I think we already knew, and that is bringing back Cody Bellinger. That's about the only thing we know that the Yankees are going to try and do. There's obviously an interest to bring back Cody Bellinger. I think we all already knew that, but Cody Bellinger is going to draw a lot of interest from other ball clubs. There's no doubt about that, and Scott Boras being his agent, right? He's going to play the field, man. He's going to play the field. So, he's going to be responsive to teams that are going to be interested in Cody Bellinger. I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of teams out there that are certainly going to be interested in. Yankees being one of them. Don't be surprised about the Mets. Any team that has an outfield need, they're definitely going to be interested in Bellinger. So I'm hoping Bellinger's back. I certainly want him back. I know some fans don't necessarily feel the same way, There's a lot of fans out there that really want Kyle Tucker. While I'm not against Kyle Tucker, my preference is to bring back Bellinger. He could play anywhere in the outfield, could play first base. We know what he can do, and we know what he can do in New York, right? He could play in the New York market. He knows what it's like to play for the Yankees, and I think ultimately, he's a good fit. He is a good fit. Now, speaking of Bellinger, right? Now, Cashman, one of the things that he was asked about was about the payroll, right? Because there was reports saying that Hal Steinbrenner wants to try and stay under the $300 million payroll, which that's been talked about over the last couple of years. Now, Cashman's response to that was that he's not sure. He's not sure if being under 300 million is where the Yankees are, if that's where they're going to belong. Not, it's unknown right now. He did say that as far as the payroll goes, that the payroll is always, quote, fluid. Right now, to me, what does fluid mean? To me, fluid and payroll just means, nothing is really set in stone. It could go in a bunch of different directions. There's no telling, if they're going to be under 300 million or if they're going to be over 300 million. Now, if this team is truly trying to improve the roster, bringing back Cody Bellinger can't be the only priority, right? I mean, it is a priority, but it can't be the only move that they make. There's other moves that they absolutely have to make to improve this roster. And ultimately, I think, if you're trying to improve this roster and if payroll, like Brian Cashman said, is not an issue, then, it sounds like you're probably going to be over the $300 million mark. You're going to have to go over the $300 million mark. Now, I know Hal has stated that he does not being like over that threshold. He doesn't want to be over that threshold, right? That's been at least the reports that have been coming out. But, can the Yankees win a World Series being under 300 million? Sure, they can, absolutely, but they need to go out and acquire the players that are going to help them win. And there's no telling how much money Hal is going to allow, as far as how much he's going to let Hal or Cashman spend this offseason. That hasn't been, according to Cashman, it hasn't been determined, which I'm not really surprised. I mean, the GM meetings just wrapped up. So, the owners' meetings is going to go down here, I believe, next week. So I believe I would think after the owners' meetings, I think, Cashman will probably, sit down with Hal and get a better idea of, hey, here's how much money I'm going to allow you to spend. Go out there and, make this team better and go out there and do what you got to do. So, a lot of people say that it's Cashman that doesn't want to spend the money, but it all boils down to what Hal says. Hal Steinbrenner's the boss. He's going to determine what money's being spent and how much money he wants to spend. This is all contingent on what Hal Steinbrenner wants to do. Okay, so if Hal Steinbrenner tells Cashman this is how much money we're spending, then guess what? Cashman has to stick to those parameters, right? So he's got to listen to the boss. So at the end of the day, Hal Steinbrenner has the final say. Cashman's job is just to work with the parameters that he's given, and just go out and do what he's got to do to improve this roster. Which once again, clearly, the Yankees, they have a lot of work to do this offseason. Are they going to be able to address all the holes that they have? Are they going to be able to, improve the roster that they already have? I mean, it's still, we'll see, right? We'll see what happens, and, anything that they don't address, now, I mean, they could always address at the deadline, but I'd rather them attack the offseason and just, come out strong and remain strong during the 2026 season. So, I mean, that's just my take on it. Now, I did bring up, Bellinger, right? Cody Bellinger. And it's like I was saying, bringing back Bellinger, I mean, it's something that the Yankees want to do, but they know that Bellinger is going to attract a lot of teams, and this plays into Scott Boras's favor. We know what kind of agent Scott Boras is. We know that he is a big time negotiator, and he will go out of his way to get the best possible deal that he can for his clients. So, there's no doubt that Cody Bellinger is going to get a deal. Once again, I do hope that he is back with the Yankees. I know that Bellinger wants to come back. I know he would love to come back to the Yankees, but of course, the deal and the years, the money, that all has to work out. Cashman says he wants him back, right? There's no doubt about that. But as Cashman would say, if they can't bring him back, then they're gonna look for all their alternatives. It's gonna be another plan B. So I feel like it's right now this offseason is another repeat of last year, where the Yankees really wanted to bring Juan Soto back. There was no doubt about that. I think we all wanted Juan Soto back, but ultimately we all know what happened. But the Yankees quickly turned to plan B, didn't waste any time. Even and last season I did like the plan B that they had, but what is the plan B this season? What are their alternatives? Now this offseason is going to be a really interesting one for the Yankees. So I've said this in a couple of my other live streams. There's no telling really what in this offseason. I have no idea what direction that the Yankees are going to go in. I have zero idea what which direction that they're going to go in. They could go in a bunch of different directions. I think in past off seasons, I think you kind of know or knew what the Yankees needed to do or what they were going to do. Not necessarily not knowing what players they were going to get, but you knew what they were going to do based off of how those seasons went down, and what based on what comments were made by from guys like Cashman in the front office, and what they needed to do to improve their roster. But this off season, the only thing that we do know is that they need to they're going to try and bring back Bellinger. If not, what is their plan B? What is their alternatives? And off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you, right? Are they, if they don't get Bellinger back, how active are they going to be in the free agent market? Are they going to bring, are they going to be a little bit more aggressive in the trade market? Is that going to be a thing for the Yankees? Again, this offseason, they could go in a lot of different directions, but I'm curious to see who, if they don't bring back Bellinger, then do they stick with who they have in house? Do they stick with Dominguez and Spencer Jones this offseason, and stick with Judge, right? Is that going to be your outfield? Right, and Jones and Dominguez's name was brought up by Cashman. We'll get into that a little bit later. So do they go in house, or do they still go out there and seek somebody for their outfield? Whether it's during free agency or in a trade. But if you're in a win now situation, or if you're in a win now mode, I would think that you're probably going to try and go out there and get somebody, right? Whether it's in a free agency or in a trade. If you're trying to win now, you're trying to get somebody. You're trying to get somebody that's going to make an impact right now, rather than having a rookie outfielder in Spencer Jones and a second year player in Dominguez out there in the outfield to play alongside Judge. So. If you're trying to build a team around Judge, you gotta play now. You gotta think about now and not the future. And Cashman did make it clear the other day or recently that the Yankees are not in a rebuilding mode. They're in a win now mode, which is true, right? They're never in a rebuild mode. They're always in a win now mode. So I would think that if they don't bring Bellinger back, I think they are, ultimately, I think they start getting active in the market, right? I think they'll look at and see who's available in free agency. Of course, they're always going to explore trades. So curious to see what happens if they can't bring Bellinger back. Then they kind of fall into that Juan Soto situation in a way where they had Soto was in the plans last season, didn't work out. Cool. Well, let's figure out Plan B. This is the same scenario here. Cody Bellinger. If he's not back, what's Plan B? What names do they have in mind? We'll find out soon enough. But look, Bellinger's not going to sign anytime soon, right? A lot of these guys that are free agents right now, they're not going to sign anytime soon. So they're going to be entertaining teams. They're going to be entertaining calls, offers. I mean, this whole thing is just going to be ongoing this offseason. So I wouldn't really expect any big moves yet. You could expect small trades, small signings here and there, but a lot of these signings that you're going to see, a lot of these big trades that we might see, they're going to go down probably during the winter meetings or after the winter meetings. I mean, usually that's when a lot of these big names, big contracts start coming off, when these players start coming off the board. So still very early in the process, right? Still early in the process. So, everybody is just playing, just kind of browsing in a sense, playing the field, seeing what's out there, right? So, we're about the second or third week into the off season. So, stuff like this, you can't expect, players to get a deal now. So they're gonna do their due diligence, entertain every offer that is presented to them. But I think come next month, when the winter meetings come around, expect there to be a lot of news. And once guys like and you're gonna see the big names like Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger. You're gonna see them come off the board. I would say, very soon, probably either during the winter meetings or just shortly after the winter meetings. So, there's so I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't expect anything to happen right now, but let's see though. Let's see what happens. Now, the next thing that Cashman talked about was the qualifying offer that was extended to Trent Grisham. Now, there was a little bit of not a little bit, but there was a bit of criticism there from a lot of the fans as far as extending a qualifying offer to Trent Grisham. But honestly, I talked about this in my last live stream. I don't think it was really that big of a surprise that you gave, for the Yankees to offer to extend a qualifying offer to Trent Grisham. I mean, if we're being honest, after all, Grisham had a career year. He had a great year. I think he helped the Yankees out a lot this season. There was no doubt about that. I think he wanted to certainly prove himself, not just to the Yankees, but also to the rest of the league, right? Because there's going to be a market out there for teams that need an outfielder, and Grisham right now, there's going to be a market out there for him. I truly do believe that. And with Grisham, there was reports that said that he is expected to decline the qualifying offer. That was said by I believe it was John Heyman. Right, I believe he was the one that broke the news, saying that he is going to decline the qualifying offer, which I wouldn't be surprised if I'm being honest, because once again, I think there's a market out there for Trent Grisham. But again, Cashman did say that if Grisham does ultimately accept the qualifying offer and they bring back Cody Bellinger, then that could open a possible trade scenario. So, which, you have to expect. Because there's been a lot of speculation whether or not guys like Dominguez, is he going to get traded? Is Spencer Jones, could he be a trade piece? Either one of these guys could be a trade piece. Now, speaking of Jones, right? So Spencer Jones, apparently, according to Brian Cashman, he is working out at Yankee Stadium, and he's working out at Yankee Stadium, and will also head to Tampa Bay after he rests up. He'll head to Tampa Bay to work out, and of course, he's going to try and play for a spot for the Yankees during spring training. So right now, Spencer Jones he's got a lane open for him to be on the Yankees roster for 2026. So so let's just say if Bellinger is back and Grisham is gone, so there's probably going to be a competition between Dominguez and Spencer Jones. Dominguez is going to be playing winter ball, according to Brian Cashman. So, I think it'll be good for Dominguez to get that extra playing time during the offseason. And so he's going to get that opportunity during winter ball. And, ultimately, I think it'll be good for him, especially, playing out there in left field, and batting from the right side, because he does need a lot of work batting from the right side. So I think it'll be good for him to get more exposure batting from the right side of the plate. So both of these guys are working. Both of these guys are hungry. They're trying to make their way onto the into the Yankees roster. But I think I think if Grisham is not going to be back, and if Bellinger is coming back, so that does create an opportunity there for Jones and Dominguez. I would think they're going to compete against one another to try and win that out, to try to win that final, to win a roster spot, to win a starting role out there in the outfield. So that'll be a fun competition. And Spencer Jones has certainly made a name for himself out there in the minors. He definitely had a great year. I know the biggest criticism with Jones was his high strikeout rate. Now he's still a guy that does strike out a lot, but he has cut down quite a bit. So let's see how he does during spring training. So he's definitely going to be there's going to be a lot of eyes on him. But again, he could be a guy that could get traded in the offseason. Same thing with Jason Dominguez, especially if Grisham ultimately decides to accept a qualifying offer. But again, reports are saying he's not going to. He's going to try and seek out a contract, and I think there's a team out there that will sign Grisham. So if that's the case, and they are able to bring back Bellinger, so you assume Bellinger in left field, Judge and right, who takes over center. I know the Yankees don't like Dominguez in center field, so that's definitely a better position for Spencer Jones to play. So how does that, again, do one of these two guys get traded? I think that's going to be one of the biggest questions this offseason. So Cashman has made it known that a possible trade could happen, right? He didn't say who, but he did mention of a possible trade if both Grisham and Bellinger are back. So does that mean if Bellinger's back, Grisham is gone? Whoever, if let's say if Jones wins, he wins he's on the opening day roster, right, for the Yankees. Does that make Dominguez a fourth outfielder? Are they going to platoon that? Right. Again, so many different options, but the Yankees this is where I'm saying the Yankees are in a very interesting spot. And they could go in a lot of different directions this offseason. So Cashman didn't really say what the game plan was. He kind of gave a little bit of a gist of what to look forward to as you know, Cashman, right? He's always going to hold. They're always going to hold information tight to their chest. They're not going to give you too much information right away. So, again, there could be a trade scenario, or you could have these guys play for a spot on the opening day roster. So again, we'll see what happens. What's up, Nez? What's going on? He says Spencer Jones low key about to be 30. Yeah, he's a little bit on the older side. What is he, like 25, 26? Spencer Jones. So there's gotta. If he's gonna be with the organization, and if he's gonna play, the time is now, right? So, Spencer Jones. He's 24 years old now, and he's gonna turn 25 next May. So if he's gonna play, the time is now, right? It's right now. I don't see how you keep this guy down there in the minors at 24, 25, right? It's not like he's a 20 or 21 year old. So let's see, what kind of lane opens up for him. Now, the next thing that Cashman talked about, which I don't think this here should not come as a surprise to anybody. All right. I know there's been a lot of talk, right, about Jazz Chisholm Jr. Now, Jazz Chisholm Jr. is up for arbitration, and after the season, he is going to be a free agent. Cashman was asked about whether or not there were any discussions about a potential extension with Jazz Chisholm Jr. Of course, I don't think it should come as a surprise. Cashman did say that there was no discussions with Jazz, that they could potentially have those discussions later on. But historically, we know the Yankees don't give out contract extensions to players. They have done that in with a couple of players in recent memory. Luis Severino. I hate to bring the name up. Aaron Hicks. They gave these guys extensions, and it was a complete disaster, an absolute disaster. Unfortunately, for both guys. Severino was kind of a disappointing one. It was a sad one because he was expected to be that 1-2 punch with Garrett Cole at the time, but unfortunately injuries had just hindered his career with the Yankees. But anyway, look, if I'm being honest about Jazz Chisholm Jr., I think Jazz is going to play out his final year on his contract. I think he'll play out the final. He'll play out 2026. The Yankees really do like. They do like him. He's a good second baseman. Was an all-star, like Cashman said. He's got good qualities about himself. He had a great year for the Yankees. He was a 30-30 guy. But do I ultimately think the Yankees give this guy an extension? No. Do I think the Yankees could let this guy walk after 2026? You want me to be honest with you? I think they're going to let him walk. I think they'll give him a qualifying offer. All right. I think they'll offer him a QO after 2026. Once the offseason comes around, I think they'll give him a QO. And ultimately, I think Jazz will turn it down, and I think another team will sign him. I could be wrong, right? But if I had to give you my prediction, I don't think the Yankees are going to bring back Jazz Chisholm Jr. And then again, what direction do the Yankees go in after that? But who knows? But that's far down the line. But if I had to give you an early prediction, I don't see the Yankees. Once again, I don't see an extension happening there with Jazz Chisholm Jr. I really don't. I think he'll play his final season with the Yankees, and then ultimately, I think he's going to go out there and test the market. And I think there's going to be some other team will sign him to a pretty decent contract. I think he'll get paid, but I just don't think, as of right now, I just don't think the Yankees are that team. That's how I feel about it. So there was some questions asked about that when it came to Jazz. Now I do like Jazz. I like his personality. He brings good energy to the team. I like what he does. But sometimes, yes, there are some of those boneheaded plays that he makes, right? I hate to bring it up, but that ground ball in that Toronto series, that one was costly, right? So that's what I'm talking about with the boneheaded plays. I know he's a fiery guy. I know he he likes to talk a lot, but I think he's just trying to hype himself up, trying to hype up the team. Just trying to bring that good energy. But I like Jazz. I like what he did this season with the Yankees. I think next season, I think he's going to be. Um, I think he'll do a lot of good with the Yankees, but ultimately, like I said, I do not think that he gets an extension, and I do think that the Yankees are going to let him walk. I think they'll give him a QO, right? I think they'll extend a qualifying offer to him, in which he turns down, and I think he signs with another team. And where the Yankees go from there, we'll see. And the other question we'll talk about when next offseason comes around is what happens with Brian Cashman, because you got to keep in mind Brian Cashman, his contract is up after next season. So do the Yankees continue rolling with him, or do they hire another GM and go a different direction? And what happens to Brian Cashman after 26? That's another conversation, right? Now, the big one, and I was really curious if the media, if SNY was gonna ask Boone about Boone's comments about the comments he made about analytics. So Boone the other day said that the Yankees are the least analytical team, because there's been a lot of talk from the public, right, from the fans, saying that the Yankees are highly reliant on analytics. But according to Boone, they are the least analytical team. And I couldn't tell you if that was true or not, right? I mean, the only thing you could do is take Boone's word for it. Now, Cashman did say, quote, that Boone's comments about the Yankees being the quote being the least analytical team. Cashman did say, quote, he wanted to bring the fans into the dugout, and letting the fans know basically that that Boone is the ultimate decision maker, right? This is kind of what I took from Cashman, that the decisions that's made in the dugout with the lineups, any moves that Boone makes, it's strictly Aaron Boone, right? There's nothing from the analytics department. There's nothing from the front office. Nobody's calling into the dugout saying, "Hey, do this move or make that move right now." Right? Every move that's being made, it's all made by it's strictly by Boone, according to Cashman. And I truly, honestly, I do truly believe that. To me, I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense for the analytics team or anybody in the front office to make a phone call to the dugout and talk with Aaron Boone in the middle of the game and figure out what the next move needs to be, or what move needs to be made. I mean, it is ultimately Boone is the Yankees manager, whether we like it or not. He is the Yankees manager. So I mean, it's his job to make the decisions that need to be made, as far as the lineups go, as far as the bullpen decisions, as far as pinch hit decisions. I mean, this is all on Aaron Boone. And I have a hard time personally. I have a hard time believing that anybody in the front office or in the analytics department is constantly poking Boone in the middle of the game as far as what decisions need to be made, and that Boone is a puppet for these guys. Now, if that's the case, right? If it does ultimately fall on Aaron Boone to make these decisions, do I always agree with what the decisions that Boone makes? No. I sometimes his decisions, there are question marks. There are question marks with some of the decisions that he makes now. yeah, there, like I said, there are question marks with some of the decisions that he makes. Um, I don't always agree with them. Sometimes he makes good decisions. Sometimes he doesn't. Do I think that's some of the decisions that he makes feels rushed? That he kind of gets in a panic? Sure. There are, but sometimes, in somewhat of Boone's defense, I mean, look, being a baseball manager is not an easy thing, and especially for the New York Yankees, because you may have planned something in your mind. You may be thinking something that you think is going to work out, but ultimately it backfires. But until you try it, you don't know how that situation is going to play out, right? Some things are obvious, some things are not. I mean, I that part I do get, but again, just going back to what Cashman was saying about Boone, Cashman says it's hands off for me, to me it makes sense. It's not Brian Cashman's job to make the decisions on the field or during the game. That's not his job. It's not his job. Like why would he get involved? There's other things that he needs to worry about and what he needs to worry about is improving this roster. That's what he needs to worry about. Going out there and negotiating with players and their agents, and negotiating with the teams if they're in the trade market. That's Cashman's job. His job is not to come up with the lineup, sit down and come up with the lineup. That's not Cashman's job. So or phone into the dugout and talk with Boone about what moves need to be done and what guys need to be brought in. Like, that's not his job. That is Boone's job. That's not Cashman's job. So Boone's got a job to do, and let's see what happens next season. Once again, it'll be very telling to see what happens in 2026, but I've said this before. I could see a scenario where if Cashman is gone after next season, depending on how the season plays out, Boone might be gone too. Boone is under contract through 2027, but I could see a scenario where, once again, if Cashman is gone, there could be a possible scenario that if Cashman's gone, there could be a possible scenario that Boone is gone. All right, but it all depends on how the season's going to play out. We'll talk about that at a different time. What's up, Pixelmon? What's up, Robert? What's going on, folks? Make sure y'all hit the like button. All right, make sure y'all are hitting the like button. Make sure y'all are hitting the subscribe button if you're watching for the first time. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's continue growing this channel. Now a couple more things, and then I'll probably wrap it up here. Right, there was a lot to talk about in with today's meeting there with Brian Cashman, right? When Cashman addressed the media. So the big question mark was with Ben Rice. Okay, so he has said that Ben Rice is viewed as an everyday player and is likely a likelihood that he's going to take over first base for next season with Wells with Wells being the catcher. As of right now, that is the game plan. Okay, that is the game plan. But look, Ben Rice being an everyday player, I don't think that should come as a surprise. I think we all knew that Ben Rice was going to be an everyday player. Whether or not he was going to be the everyday first baseman, or was he going to take over catching, be the primary catcher instead of Austin Wells. But we all knew that Paul Goldschmidt wasn't going to be back. So as of right now, Ben Rice, he is your first baseman unless something changes. But at this current moment, it doesn't sound like from what Cashman said, and again, you never know what the Yankees are going to do. It doesn't sound like they're going to be going after a first baseman this season. So it sounds like that is Ben Rice's position. That position belongs to him. And unless they decide something else. But his likely spot is first base. And you know what? If that's the case, then fine. I hope Ben Rice does get a lot of work at first base during the offseason, because I do feel as though there is still some improvement defensively as far as defensive improvements for Ben Rice at first base. I think he still has some work to do, but I feel like he has the potential to be a really good first baseman. So I like Ben Rice. I like what he's done for the team, right? I like his offensive approach. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's going to do a lot of big things for the Yankees. The Yankees really does sign him. The Yankees really do like him, and they want to keep him around. So and rightfully so. I think his bat is going to play very, very well on this team. He's got the power. He's got the power. He can hit home runs. He could get hits. But he hits the ball hard, right? He hits the ball hard. I know, how fans, a lot of folks like to talk about, how hard a ball gets hit, which I'm always in favor of, as long as it results into something positive. So, there was a brief discussion there about Ben Rice, but yeah, I'm all for Ben Rice coming back. Absolutely. Jake Boss is in the building. What's up, Jake? Jake is in the building. Thanks for popping in. How we doing? Just to get to some of the comments here in the comments section. Pixelmon saying, why doesn't Cashman have any emotion when he speaks? You'd have to ask him. I don't know. He's always been that way, though. I mean, he doesn't really show a lot of emotion. It seems like he's very mellow. Sometimes, I mean, on occasion he does blow up. He has actually. I mean, if you remember, what was it, 2024 during the offseason, he kind of blew up on Joel Sherman. So most of the time he's pretty even keel. I mean, that's just who he is. He is the GM of the Yankees. So I mean, he's got to present himself in a certain way. Jake Boss says, hopefully this is Cashman's last season as GM. They dig a little deeper for big moves this offseason. Could be. It could be. He could step away and just continue his role as senior VP, and they could, ultimately bring somebody else in as a GM, or they could go in-house, right? But we'll talk. That's a conversation for a different time. And Robert says Cashman is in charge of getting players and putting the best possible team on the field for the whole season. He has lost his touch. Good riddance, Cashman. I wish. Well, it goes back to what I was saying about, what Cashman's job is. Cashman's job is not to tell Boone what to do. His job is, like you said, is in charge of getting players, and that's exactly what it is. And it's putting the best team that he possibly can. 100%. Yeah, well, that's, again, Luke Weaver, unfortunately, didn't really work out. Dave was saying that's why they need to sign Belly for backup first base. Yeah, I mean, this is why, Bellinger is important to this team. This is why he would play a big role for this team, because he could definitely play first base in a pinch if needed. Right, in case if Ben Rice needs a day off, or if he gets hurt for some reason, you need a guy like Bellinger that can, again, has that versatility, could play anywhere in the outfield, and can play first base in a pinch. Pixelmon says, what do I think a Skeens trade will look like? It's going to cost a lot. It's going to cost a lot, and the Pirates ain't trading him. Let's be honest here. Not now. Maybe in the future, but not now. They're definitely not going to trade him. He's a Pirate. He's a Pirate. And Robert says Ben Rice is a keeper. I agree. Ben Rice is a keeper. Ben Rice is a keeper, dude. The only way I would ever trade Ben Rice, for me personally, is if the Yankees are getting some good quality pitching back, right? And I'm talking. I would personally, I would like a starter. But as of right now, I don't think Ben Rice is going nowhere. He's going to be. He's going to be around for a long time, I think. So no, I like I do like Ben Rice a lot. So, and he's become a fan favorite. I know the organization really likes him. So yeah, he's not going out anywhere. Pixelmont says Austin Wells for Harper straight up, but yeah, then you're gonna have to take over Harper's contract, and where are you going to play him? That's just it. Is he gonna be another DH on the team, or is he gonna how do you play him? They already got Giancarlo Stanton, so if they wanted to get Harper, they would have done it back then. But instead, they traded for Giancarlo Stanton. But I'm not going to even entertain that right now because that's been beat down a lot because fans love to revisit that scenario quite a bit. But I'm not going to revisit that scenario. A couple more things, and then like I said, I'll wrap it up. Right. Now, Brian Cashman was asked about the Yankees being too home run reliant, and his response was saying that he looks for what needs improved on the team and what as far as who they have right now on the roster, how those guys can improve, or if those guys aren't going to improve, then they can improve, or they can import players that will help improve the team. He didn't really answer. To me, I don't know. To me, I didn't really get much of an answer. I don't feel like I got much of an answer as far as him saying that when he was asked about the Yankees being too much of a home run reliant team. I think he just said that he just basically said that wherever they need to improve, that they're going to improve the team, either with the guys that they have right now, or importing players from during free agency or from other teams to help the team become better offensively, right? I mean, he didn't really say whether or not the Yankees are they're too home run reliant. Now, being home runs are not a bad thing. And, he did bring up that in the postseason, a team that out homers another team in the postseason, typically they go on to win 90% of the time. Now, I never really looked up the statistics. Now, for me personally, I think the teams that go on to win in the postseason, my personal opinion, I think it's the small things that you do to win in the postseason, because ultimately, I think that's how a lot of teams find success in the postseason. And I think we saw that with the Dodgers in this World Series, right? They went back to back. I think, that Game 7 against the Blue Jays, they hit some key home runs, but I also think it's just some of the little things that they did in that Game 7 that gave them the edge to win the entire thing. So, as far as 90% of the time, out homering other teams in the postseason typically go on. I mean, I think that number is true. I don't know. I never really looked at the statistics, but again, for me personally, I think it's whichever team does the small things during the postseason, they're gonna have the edge every single time. And I think we've seen that, time and time again whenever we watch games in the postseason. What's up, Therese? What's up, Ronald? What's going on? I know a few people brought up the fact that Paul Skeens won the Cy Young, and rightfully so. He's well deserving of it. So congratulations to Paul Skeens. But yeah, like I was saying, Cashman didn't really answer the question about the Yankees being too home run reliant. He just went on to say that the team needs to, that if there's wherever there needs to be improvements, that he's looking to try and make those improvements with who they have right now, or whoever they may add later. So he didn't really answer the question of like if the Yankees are too much of a home run reliant team. I know that's been a criticism from a lot of fans saying that the Yankees are too much of a home run reliant team. Now, they did hit a lot of home runs. There's no doubt. The team could hit, right? They had a lot of guys that were able to hit. My biggest frustration with the Yankees this past season was that they do get hits, they get guys on base. My biggest frustration was just not doing the little things. They would leave a lot of guys stranded, right? They would have guys with the bases loaded, nobody out, and they would only score 1 run. They wouldn't do the small things. They couldn't get more. They couldn't score more runs without relying so much on the home runs. So they did. Yeah, to me, honestly, if you ask me, I think they relied a lot on the home run ball. We've seen in a lot of games where they were getting a lot of big hits and key hits and scoring runs. But But one of the things that the Yankees absolutely need to do in this offseason, they need to get a couple of guys that can hit for contact, right? And I don't know who's out there. I don't know who they're going to look into, but they got to look into a couple of guys that can hit for contact, because that to me that's still an important part of the game. It's the basic fundamentals of the game is hitting for contact, putting the ball in play, and hoping it turns into something positive. I mean, as long as it doesn't end up in a ground out or double plays, I mean, those are rally killers right there, especially the double plays. So I don't know. I do feel as though there were a lot of times during the season that the Yankees were too reliant on the home run ball, but they absolutely need to get a couple of guys, 1 or 2 guys that hit for contact, to kind of balance out the power, to balance out the slugging, to the power hitting guys, right? So yeah, absolutely. I think the Yankees need to go out and get a couple of contact bats. I mean, again, that's just my opinion. All right. But do I feel like the Yankees were a little too reliant on the home run ball? 100%. I do. But this is where they need to get a couple of contact bats to help balance out that lineup. And last but not least, folks, we're slowly wrapping it up. The big name in the minors there, George Lombard Jr., who has become a big fan favorite, who has been climbing the ranks up down there in the minors for the Yankees. Cashman was asked whether or not George Lombard Jr., can he be on the roster for next season? Now, I was saying this last year, right? I was saying this during the season, right? I never really saw George Lombard Jr. on the 20. I don't see him on the horizon for 2026, and that's what Cashman said too. But I do not see. I never really saw him coming up next year. I think 2027 seems a little bit more realistic. Now, you never know unless he completely impresses during spring training, because I think he'll definitely get some time to play in these spring training games like he did last year. But again, he did say that 2026, that there's nothing on the horizon for George Lombard Jr., but he's also not ruling it out. So if he's not ruling it out, he's saying that there is a possibility that he might be on the 2026 roster. Does this mean that, could he be called up in September next year, or does he get called up before then? No doubt that there are some improvements that George Lombard Jr. needs to make, particularly with the bat. His offensive game still has some holes, and he still has a lot of improvements to make on his offensive game. Now, defensively, he's definitely ready to go. Cashman did say he's ready to go. I agree with that 100%. Defensively, the guy is great on the field. I mean, he's great. He's great at shortstop. There's no doubt there. So I know a lot of fans have been asking for him to get called up and take over for Anthony Volpe, right? So, but even then, right? He wasn't ready to be called up. Let's be realistic. Does he Do I think he'll get called up in 2026? Personally, if he does, I think he could be a September call up. That's what I think. I think ultimately, I think he'll be a September call up, and I think they're gonna, oh, to be honest with you, I think they're gonna roll with Caballero and Anthony Volpe. I mean, I think those are the guys that they're gonna roll with, unless they sign someone in the off season, right, or unless they trade for somebody. But I think they're going to stick with Caballero and Volpe. I mean, it's not, to me, I'm not in favor of that. However, I don't think George Lombard Jr. Is the guy that you want to call up right now. But I know he's certainly will be ready. If anything, I would say he would definitely be ready for 2027. I think you definitely consider him then. But let him continue developing, though, is what I would say. I wouldn't bring him up just to bring him up. Personally, unless he truly impresses during spring training, then yeah, sure, you can call him up. But as of right now, from what Cashman said, and that's kind of what I suspected, kind of what I speculated, is that he's not going to be called up for the 2026 season, but also the possibility is not ruled out. But all right, Robert, yeah, we'll see you later, and I'll slowly wrap it up too. Just wanted to go on for a little while to just kind of break down and digest some of the things that Cashman said. So, look, Cashman made it. He made a few things known, right? He made a few things known that were, I think that were obvious to a lot of us, but it was also giving, a lot of just general information, just not giving out too much information, not revealing what the game plan is going to be for the Yankees this off season. So they're not gonna show all their cards right now. It's as simple as that. They're not going to show us all their cards, but soon enough, there'll be moves happening at some point, and we'll just see what those moves are going to look like. But I would just say wait for the winter meetings, because that's when a lot of that's when you're going to hear the big news, the big moves, the big trades, big signings during the winter meetings and then after the winter meetings. So stay tuned, folks. But I'm going to wrap it up here. I do appreciate all of you tuning in. Thank you all for hanging out tonight on this Wednesday night. I just wanted to quickly go live and just kind of talk about what Cashman said. But let me know what you all think. All right. Just drop the comments after the live stream. If you couldn't watch the stream live, let me know what you all are thinking. But thank you all again for tuning in. Make sure you all hit the like button, hit that subscribe, share this channel out with everybody you know. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you all next time. Have a great night, everyone.